What it do, Mama's Bomb crew, and welcome back to another video. If you're not already a part of the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, make sure to leave a comment down below, and stay tuned for future uploads. Also, you guys, go ahead and hit that little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you guys get notified when I post new videos, so you don't miss no 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 videos. Hey, but today I got a story time for you guys. I wanted to do this story time since I started YouTube, because my channel's name is Mama's Bomb, and you guys have no story time on how I became a mom, how I birthed my kids. So I'm gonna give you guys that story time today. I'm gonna do 3 separate videos because I have 3 children. So they're pretty gonna be, what was I gonna say? They're pretty much going to be long videos because it is a lot of information. I went through a lot. So let's jump right into the video. Now we're gonna start off with my son. My son, he is gonna be 6, October 26th of this month. Yes, you are. When I had him, I had just turned 19 in July, and then I had him in October. So I was 19 when I had him. I had him on October 26th. My due date was November 11th was my due date. And it's crazy because you'll see in my next video, my other daughter's due date was November 11th as well, but we'll get into that another time. So yeah, I had him October 26th. My due date was November 11th. I'm gonna tell you guys my whole experience as to how I got him out of me, because I went through a lot. And my first pregnancy, it was crazy what I went through. So let's get into the video. I remember, I don't know where I was coming from. I don't know if I was coming from work or I was just out and about, but I remember I went to my mother-in-law's house. My mom was at work, she was at work. So I went to my mother-in-law's house. I remember exactly what I was doing. I walked in the house and I went straight to lay down on the couch. I turned on the TV and I was watching Cops. Now, I probably was in the house for maybe 10 minutes. I literally just got there and sat on the couch and turned on Cops. I watched a little, 5 minutes. All of a sudden, I'm laying on the couch and I feel this big gush of water. Mind you, my due date is November 11th. So I'm like, what the heck? Is this what people be talking about when they say they're peeing on themselves? Towards the end of their pregnancy, they can't hold their pee? Because it literally was it felt like I peed on myself. So I got up off the couch and I was like, what the heck? I didn't pee on myself. My water broke. You want to know how I know my water broke? Because it was just gushing out, just flowing, gushing out all over the place. And it was listen, girl, you could clench real tight. It was not going to stop. So that's how I knew my water broke. It just was flowing. It was nonstop. I couldn't help it. It just kept pouring out, pouring out. So I grabbed my phone. I called my man. I'm like, babe, my water just broke. He's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, babe, I got to call you back. I got to call you back. And the first thing in my head was let me call my mother-in-law. I need to call somebody that could walk me through these steps, because my man was not going to walk me through the steps on what to do. He just was going to say, go to the hospital. I need the steps on how to get to the hospital like this. So I call my mother-in-law and I'm like, mommy, my water broke. I changed my pants 15 times and I'm leaking through all my pants. What am I supposed to do? She's like, girl, what are you doing? Just get a towel, wrap yourself up, and go to the hospital. You're having a baby. Nobody's gonna judge you at the hospital. With my mindset, I was like, I don't want to go in the hospital with my jeans soaking wet and I wasn't gonna feel comfortable. And even though I shouldn't be trying to feel comfortable, I'm about to have my son, but I wasn't thinking. Now, I went to my doctor's appointments were in Miami. So I was originally supposed to have my baby in the Miami hospital that I chose. I forgot the name of it, but I had a hospital in Miami that I was already planned to have my son there, and that was it. Okay. So that's what I planned. But during this whole time, I was thinking about it, because at this time it was 4 or 5 o'clock. So I would have hit traffic. It usually take 45 minutes from my house to get there. So without traffic, with traffic, I was just thinking it's going to take me an hour and a half to get there. I'm driving myself to the hospital. I don't know if I'm going to start having contractions on the way there. I don't know if I'm going to have to pull over. I don't know what. I didn't know what to expect. This is my first baby. So I was like, you know what? Let me just X that out and let me just get to the closest hospital so that I can make sure that everything's okay. Because, remember, my due date was November 11th. So I'm tripping because it's October 25th. I think it was October 24th or October 25th, but I had him October 26th. So, yeah. So my mother-in-law is like, just grab a towel and wrap yourself up. Still in the back of my head, I wasn't thinking. So I was like, okay, let me just do what she says, but let me at least put on the pants that gonna absorb the most water and not show that I'm like soaking wet. So I go in the drawer and I'm looking, and I'm like, it finally hit me. I was like, sweatpants. So I opened the drawer and I remember exactly what sweatpants I had on. I had like those black velvet sweatpants that like if they get wet, you can't really see that they're wet. So I just threw them on real quick and I grabbed the towel and I wrapped it around me and I got in my car and I drove to, it's a hospital because I've been in that hospital before, but it's a heart medical institute, but it's like a huge, like they do other stuff there, but I'm gonna get to that. So I go and I drive to the hospital and I park my car. Now, this is going to be useful information for the end of the story on what happens, so stay tuned. Now, I parked my car, and I parked my car, like, I know I parked my car far, because I was like, okay, if I park my car far, and I walk, that's going to help. And also, I always park my car not next to people, because I'm scared that somebody's going to open their door and, like, ding my car, and I'm not with that. I don't want no dings on my car. So, I always park my car away from other cars, so that doesn't happen. So, I remember I did what I always do and I parked my car away from other cars and I walked into the hospital. Now, I'm like, I get there and I'm telling her, you know, I think I'm in labor. I think my water broke. This is my first baby. I don't know what is going on, but I think my water broke. And she's like, okay. So they put me in the back and they put me on like a bed or whatever. Now I have like, by the way, I'm updating my man like about all of this, you know, like, but the thing is, like, there was so many doctors. It's like the nurses asking me what medications and stuff I'm allergic to and my name and all this crap. Then I have the other doctor over here asking me how many weeks I am, what am I due. Then I have another doctor in between my legs trying to see what the hell is going on. And then I have my man trying to call me a million times asking me what's going on, to the point where I was like, babe, let me just handle the doctors and I'll call you back. Like, I'm fine. I'm not dying. Like, I'm fine. And you're definitely going to make it to the birth of the baby. So just don't worry. The baby's not coming out right now. But just let me handle all of this and find out what's going on before I start just dedicating myself to talking to you on the phone. Anyway, so the doctor checked me and the doctor's like, it's amniotic fluid. I think that's what you call it. He's like, your water definitely did break. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you're going to have the baby. You're going to have the baby. I'm like, okay. He's like, the only problem is we don't deliver babies here. What? He's like, yeah, we don't deliver babies in this hospital. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you in an ambulance and we're going to transport you to Plantation Hospital. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I call my man and I'm like, babe, they don't deliver freaking babies here, so I have to go and get transported in an ambulance to Plantation Hospital. He's like, you can't just walk out and get in your car and go drive to another hospital. He was like screaming, I don't want you to have the baby at that hospital. That hospital's a piece of crap. That hospital's like blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay. But I couldn't escape because all the doctors were right there. And as soon as the doctor told me that they're going to have to transfer me to the hospital, they literally were pushing me out to go into the ambulance to transport me to the hospital. So it's like I couldn't run away for anything. I just couldn't run away. Everybody was watching me. So I even asked them, like, can I just go transfer myself? They're like, no, you know, your water broke. You're probably going to start having contractions. Like, this is not safe. We would not release you. We can't release you in this condition. And I'm like, oh, gosh. Anyway, I get in the ambulance and they're transporting me. Mind you, I can honestly say being in an ambulance is not that bad. Like, well, I wasn't hurt, but we were cracking up in the ambulance. We was literally cracking up. She was like, how did you know that, like, we don't deliver babies here? And I'm like, I felt so stupid, y'all. Y'all don't even know. I felt so stupid. And I was like, listen, I was in a panic. Like, how am I supposed to know what services you guys provide? I just know this is a hospital and you guys have an emergency room. I didn't know you guys don't deliver babies here. So it was funny. But finally, we get to the hospital and my man just keeps going, no, you're not having the baby there. No, you're not having the baby there. I'm trying to hurry up and get there. Mind you, he got off work, but he worked far. So he was stuck in traffic trying to get to me, trying to piece everything together because it was just, we weren't expecting it. So I call I think it's his sister-in-law. So I call his sister-in-law and I'm like, hey girl, listen, I'm about to have the baby. Can you please go get my car or bring somebody with you so that you guys could go get my car at the hospital, at the medical center, not the hospital. But can you please go get my car and then drive it and meet me at Plantation Hospital so that I could get in my car and I could drive myself to another hospital? And she's like, what the heck? I'm like, just do it. Just do it. Like, I'm about to have a baby. Like, just listen to me and just do it. Okay. So she goes and she gets my car, and I'm in the room. They put me in a room at this time, and I'm waiting. Finally, she got my car, whatever. Finally, she calls me. She's like, what room you in? And I'm like, I'm in so-and-so room. So she comes in, and I'm like, thank God, because I'm about to break out this bitch. And she's like, what do you mean you about to break out? Like, you can't just leave. You're about to have a baby. What is wrong with you? And I'm like, no, I'm about to leave. My man does not want me to have our baby in this hospital, and I'm going to trust his instincts because his baby mother had her baby in this hospital, and he said that was not the hospital to be at. So she kept going on talking about I'm gonna get in trouble, I can't just walk out the hospital, they have me in the system, all this stuff. I was like, okay, watch me. I bet I'll walk out the hospital. I grabbed my keys from her and I said, either you coming or you're not, because I gotta go. And I walked right out the hospital. Tell me why this girl didn't even have the nerve to park my car. Like, she didn't even park my car. She literally parked right in front of the hospital entrance. Like, not... Let me get to that part. So I walk out. The first thing I see on my car is a huge black mark on the front side of my car. A huge black mark on the front side of my car. Now I had a white Honda Accord at the time. So like I could notice. It's not like I have a black car or anything. A huge black mark, like she scraped the wall or something, that type of mark. That's the first thing I seen when I walked out and see my car. So I was like, oh, hell no. Not only did this bitch try to get my car towed, but she crashed my car. I looked at her and I said, what the hell did you do to my car? This is her. I didn't do nothing. Maybe that was when you parked it in the hospital. Maybe somebody that parked next to you, when they were backing out, they scratched your car. Remember I told you guys in the beginning of the video that I parked next to nobody and I did it for a reason? Okay, so nobody parked next to me. And even if somebody did park next to me, the mark that was on my car, it's impossible. Somebody would have had to hit me from the front or something. Like, it's impossible. Like, you literally turned into something and scratched the wall. And I know exactly where you did it if you're watching this video. You turned into the hospital, and you know how the hospital has like the little roundabout in the front and then the entrance is right here? I know when she was like going around the turn, she was probably in a rush. So she scraped the wall, because the way she even parked in front of the hospital entrance, she was like really close to like the walkway instead of like the street way, you know, where the cars are supposed to be. She was practically like in the hospital. So I was pissed off. I was really pissed off about that. Anyway, she kept denying it. I grabbed my keys, I got in the car, and I drove myself to Coral Springs Hospital. Coral Springs Hospital is probably like 35 minutes from there. So I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I kept asking her over and over again. I was like, I'm not gonna get mad, just tell me what happened to my car. I'm not gonna get mad, just tell me what happened to my car. Obviously, she kept denying that she freaking crashed my car. So I'm like, you know what, let me just let it go. Let me not be mad. I'm about to have my baby boy. Like, let me just get in a happy mood. I escaped all the chaos that I just went through, being strapped down in hospitals for like an hour. Let me just get to the hospital, and at least I know they deliver babies here, and that I could just stay here and relax and rest. And now thinking back on it, I think if I would have just got in the car in the first place and drove to Miami, I think I probably would have been better off, because I probably would have made it there safe, made it there without my car crashed, and I would have been able to have my baby there. So that was like my mess up. But then again, it was my first baby, so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Now, I'll probably have my baby in the house. No, I'm just playing. So then I get to Coral Springs Hospital. They put me in the bed. My mother-in-law comes. My man comes. His god sister was still there. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And if you guys don't know, if your water breaks, you have like 24 hours to deliver the baby, or like the baby's at risk of infection. Now, mind you, my water broke like 2 hours, 3 hours ago or something like that, with all the mess that I went through. So they put me in the bed, they checked me, I wasn't dilating, I wasn't getting contractions either. Finally, they came in, they said, we're gonna try to induce your labor. So I'm like, okay, okay. So they did it, I finally started getting contractions, and then they came in and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you an epidural. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I got the epidural, I was still getting the contractions, then they checked me again, and I wasn't dilating. I probably didn't, right now at this point when they checked me, it was probably like the 24-hour point, and I was only like 5 centimeters dilated. So then they were like, okay, we're gonna have to do an emergency C-section because, you know, you've been in labor for 24 hours, you're not dilating, we don't see this going anywhere. Like, you're not dilating, there's nothing that they could do. So when they came in and they said that, this is my mother-in-law. No, I don't want her to have a C-section. No. And I'm like, I was so tired. I was like, Mommy, just let the people do what they gotta do. Don't you want to see your grandson? Like, let's do what the people need to do. So I didn't know it was gonna happen that quick. The moment I was like, just let them do what they have to do, like, you know, either way, I was still gonna have a C-section. There was nothing they could do about it because it was an emergency C-section. So, yeah, what happened next? It happened so quick. Like, they literally just pushed me in the same bed I was in. They just pushed me in and they put me in the freaking C-section delivery room or whatever. Everybody got garbed up. And yeah, they just cut my stomach open. And then I remember screaming, like I was on the table and they were cutting me open and I was screaming, my butt, my butt. And the surgeon stopped and he's like, are you okay? Like, what do you feel? What do you feel? Because I guess they got like frightened because of the way I was acting and freaking out. I guess they got frightened that like the anesthesia wasn't working and that I was feeling them cut me and stuff. And I'm like, my butt, I don't know, it hurts, oh my gosh. And she's like, then the surgeon was like, it's just pressure, honey, it's just pressure, you're just feeling pressure, it'll be over soon, it's just pressure. And I was like, all I could think was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And I couldn't move my legs, like no matter how much I tried, I couldn't move my legs, I couldn't move my body, like my arms were strapped down, like it was crazy, it was so crazy. But I got through it. And he arrived, and yeah, everybody started coming to visit me. I remember my dad came. I remember my mom flew out. Just everybody was like, it's like I called my mom and I told her like I'm having him, and she like jumped on a plane and was here like the next day. So that was good. Everybody stopped. So yeah, everybody came to visit me, and that was the experience I had when I had my son. And then we all went home. We took him his first bath. And yeah, it was like, oh, I forgot to leave out. So after I had him, and it's crazy because this only happened, I think this only happened with him. For some reason, after I had him, like a couple days after. Oh, another thing that happened to me when I was there. So probably like when the day after I got out of surgery, they had to put these things on my legs for like swelling. And when I tell you those things itched and hurt so bad, I remember I was calling for the nurse and she wasn't coming. Like I was calling for her for like 30 minutes and the freaking nurse wasn't coming. Until finally I seen somebody walk past the hallway and I was screaming like, what the is the nurse? Like, where is she? Like, hello, I'm calling her. I could be dying right now. So I had to take the things off my legs. And I forgot to tell you guys how the room was set up. The room was set up really weird in that hospital. But honestly, I could say that I had a lot of good care. Like, the nurses there were amazing. Like, that's one thing I could give it to them. The nurses there were amazing, but the room setup was not good. Like, after having my other kids, I was like, that was the worst room setup I could have had. It was 2 mothers in the room. So it was me and it was another woman. Now, you know when you walk into hospital rooms, how there's like one bed here, and then there's like a curtain, and then there's another bed, and then the bathroom, they have easy access to the bathroom. Well, I happened to be the one that was near the door that didn't have access to the bathroom. But thank goodness the lady that was next to me, she got released a couple hours after I got in there, so I was able to take her spot and have the bathroom. So I was like, okay, thank goodness. But the room setup was not good. Like, I don't understand why you would put 2 mothers in there. Like, you just had a baby, like you want to have your family, like you want to talk freely, you don't want nobody else in your business. So now that I have my other 2 kids, that was like a con about that hospital. Like, it just, this hospital setup, like after you have the baby, it wasn't a good setup. But yeah, and another thing that happened to me too, that is TMI, I don't know if you guys want to hear this or not, but after I had the baby and I was in the bed, the first time I actually got out the bed with the nurse's help, because you remember I had a C-section, so like I needed help to get out the bed, to get in the bed for like the first day. And then after that, I was power walking in the hallways. I was like, I gotta get this body back. I gotta get this body back. So, but the first time I stood up, like blood just blood just came out. Like, it just went all over the floor, and I was just so embarrassed because this is my first experience. Even though the nurses, like, even though now I'm in the medical field and stuff like that doesn't bother me, and like, you can't help it. All you could do is like tell them, like, don't worry about it. Like, it happens. Like, why are you embarrassed? Why are you saying sorry? But I kept telling her, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry. Like, I'll clean it up. Don't worry. And she just kept telling me, like, stop saying sorry to me. Like, this is my job. I'm here to take care of you. Like, I'm going to make sure you're okay. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, I deal with this all day long. Like, don't worry. And she just made me feel so comfortable. Like, the nurses there were awesome. That I can definitely say. But yeah, that happens, TMI. And yeah, for the rest of the time, I just recovered. I went home. We would go over speed bumps in the car, like on the way home, and like I would feel some pain, but it was nothing that like you couldn't tolerate. It was just like a little soreness or whatever. But yeah, y'all, all of that happened just to have my son. All of that whole timeline. And even after I went home with the baby, his god sister had the nerve to still show up. And I remember we ordered Wingstop, and we were there eating Wingstop, and I stopped and I looked at her and I was like, so you really not gonna tell me what happened to my car? Like, you just gonna keep being in my face and going on like nothing happened? Like, I'm not, that's my car. Like, that's not my bike. That's not my scooter. That's my car. Like, that's my car. So you're not going to tell me what happened to my car? She dead looked in my face again and told me it must have been somebody that parked next to me. And I know for a fact she did it. And I know for a fact I didn't crash my car, because the hospital that I drove to is literally like right down the block around the corner from my mother-in-law's house. So, like, yeah, I was pissed. But yeah, y'all, that's the story on how Davion came into this world. We went through a lot to get this little man into the world. Davion, yeah. Come here. And now he's going to be 6 on the 26th of October. This is him. This big old head right here, this is him. And this little nappy head girl right here, her story is coming next, so get ready. But we went through all of that to get this little big head boy out of me, okay? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah? But now he's here, so it's all good.
Bye.
All right, you guys, so that's the story on how this little man came into the world.
Yeah.
All the stuff that I had to go through just to bring this man into the world, but he's here, and he's gonna be 6, you guys. That happened 6 years ago. Like, I still can't believe I got a 6-year-old. Like,
Ow.
I have a whole 6-year-old, a whole kindergartner right here, you guys. A whole 6-year-old. Oh my gosh.
I got kindergarten. Yay.
All right, you guys. So I'm gonna upload this video for you guys, and you guys stay tuned for part 2 of when my daughter was born. That one is a hectic story too. I think my only normal birth was probably my last daughter, because it just like flowed, and I was already like, what am I gonna expect this time? I was already expecting something bad to happen, because like everything else like kind of bad happened. So, but you guys will find out what happens in my next daughter's birth story. So yeah, you guys, that's how my son came into this world. All right, you guys, see you guys in my next video.